Aleya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Nick. I am excited to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you for sure. Can't wait to just get into the nuts and bolts of what you're going to bring to the show. Can you give us a little background of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am the owner of Flourish Marketing, which is a marketing agency in the wedding, catering, and events industry. And we help business owners get and keep a consistent stream of clients with marketing, education, strategy, and tools. So we do everything from marketing courses to custom social media. I'm launching a social media membership, and we do website design and copywriting and email marketing funnels. So all the way from we'll teach you how to do it to done for you services.
Have you been doing it for a long time?
Yes and no. So I started off in the fashion industry, actually, in communications, and then went into the cosmetics, and that was just like not my jam. Then I was laid off and I couldn't get a job. So I was like, well, what's a girl to do? Gotta eat. So I was like applying for every single job I could and got nothing. I was like starting to take it a little personally. And then my sorority sister was over at my house eating, as she was apt to do. And she said, you should just go to culinary school. And I said, you know what? That's not that bad of an idea. Nothing else seems to be working anyways. So I did. I think it took like 2 weeks and I was like there. It was like just the right timing for everything, and that always feels good, right? So I enrolled in Le Cordon Bleu and became a chef and started a catering company and a private chef business inside of when I was still in culinary school. And then I worked as a private chef catering company owner. And I worked with a lot of high net worth individuals and traveled around the world with them, and it was so cool. And then after that, I went into working for Google's food program as a vendor partner, because I said, okay, I have 2 degrees now. I got the food and I got the marketing, and I wanted to smush them together. So that's what I did. And I rose up the ranks there and I said, oh, okay, I've been doing this for like 10-ish years. I was the head of marketing for North America for a large corporate food service and facilities company. And I said, I've gotten away from my peeps, like the people that actually make people happy on a daily basis with like helping them celebrate the best moments of their lives. How do I get back to that? So I started Flourish Marketing while I was still working full time because I'm a little type A. And we're here today, and now it's my full-time gig after all that journey. And I get to talk about the celebration and the love and, the trials and tribulations that come with all of it.
That's fantastic. It sounds like with the come up of everywhere that you've been through, it seems like you always worked hard and got your breaks, and you knew an opportunity when you saw it as well, right?
Absolutely. I sometimes, I used to pride myself in being a very hard worker, and I was and still am a very hard worker. I have a capacity to sit down and just get the work done, nail it out. And as I progressed, especially now within the past year or so, I've really, and I don't know, maybe it's a whole COVID thing that's been allowing me the mental space to think about this. I said, I've always worked so hard. Is that what this is about? That can't be what this is about. Working harder and harder and harder to get some prize out there. How do I get to do what I love and not feel like I'm running myself into the ground, sitting, I would sit at my desk, and I say would, like it was so long ago, this is probably like last week I did this, sitting at my desk, my ankles are swollen because I've been sitting in the same place for 12 hours because I'm in the zone, right? Haven't eaten, hadn't had any water, nothing, but I'm in it and I'm super proud of what I'm doing, but that's not what this is supposed to be like. So yes, I am a very hard worker, but I'm trying right now to figure out what that balance looks like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's what everybody searches for at some point, is some sort of balance. And I guess what I figured out is when you're working on one thing, there's only so much time that you can really give. So you're taking away time when, if you're not working and putting it towards something else. But what's comfortable, what works. I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it for sure. I know that I could definitely feel that because I was the same way. I worked like crazy. It was nothing to, when I worked for somebody else, I would count my hours and I'd count, 90, whatever, I'd count them. But then when I worked for myself, I didn't count them. I just worked all the time. I may stop for dinner with the family, but then I was back to, work until I fell asleep. And then I think at some point you're right. You figure out that, hey, where's some me time in there, or even if it's being able to take a daily vacation and meditate or whatever it is, to be able to do something that works for yourself. So that's important too.
And not after you collapse from exhaustion, like before then, proactively take care of yourself, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's very important. So with the marketing agency, how many people are in your agency? How does it work?
So with my company, technically I'm the president because we are an S Corp. And then I have all contracted employees because I wanted it to be flexible around skill level. One of my big skill sets is managing people, managing, training, and developing people. And I had the opportunity to do that when I was leading teams, not in my own company. And so I said, well, what do I want to do when I own this business again? Because I was already a business owner in the catering chef world. I'm like, when I do that again, what do I want this to look and feel like? And I decided, I'm like, okay, I don't want to hire, one person and have them be my everything, because if that one person leaves, that disrupts business. Also, it's unrealistic to expect someone to be an expert in everything. Like you hire, normally when you get started, you start off as an entrepreneur and you hire, like, say you're the visionary and you hire like an integrator or an operations lead or something like that. And you have like the two of you, and then you start building up your team. And I didn't believe in that framework or that structure, because I wanted people that were just really good at the one thing that they did. So instead, the agency is structured with contractors who I train and love on and appreciate like they were my own, but they're not. So they have the flexibility to go out and feel like they have control of their earning potential, because I don't control their hours. I don't tell them when and where to work, but I hire them for very specific skill sets. So I have a team of writers, and within my writing team, they're all trained. I'm a story brand certified guide. And so I've worked with them all on how to write in that same methodology. But I'll have one that's really great at social media, another one that focuses on blog posts, someone that does custom social media clients versus some of our bundled services, and niching them down so that one, if they leave and they go win the lottery, which I hope that they all go and do, I can say, okay, I just need to replace this skill set, right? Or when I have my virtual assistants at work with me, it's like, okay, this is the one that does the client interaction. This is the one who's my operations one. This is the one who specifically focuses on my own marketing platforms and systems, right? And by breaking it out that way, I gained a couple of things. One, I gained people that were specialists. I gained the flexibility of being able to change and shift my team as I needed with the dynamic environment, which worked out really well during COVID. I didn't have to lay anybody off. It's like, okay, do I just reduce the amount of work, reduce the hours, change the projects? But I was able to still keep my team and the people around, and as I stayed in communication with them. And I also gained the ability to not create another job for myself. So I know we just talked about, like, I sit and I work probably a little bit too much, but I do it because I'm passionate and I'm loving it, not because I feel like I have to sit somewhere 9 to 5 and manage employees and deal with employee drama, because I don't have that. I have a lean, nimble team who's able to shift and grow and change with client needs and client demands. So it's not an agency in the traditional sense, and that's not necessarily what I want to build.
So let me ask you this: when you negotiate somebody to join your team, and they're gonna do jobs for you that are for clients that you go out and get the clients, how do you negotiate rates that they don't just have their own clients? Like, how do they end up giving you a better deal, I guess? Like, what would circumvent somebody from just calling that graphic designer or that web designer and going to them and kind of cutting you out as the middle person? Like, is there some kind of deal you have worked in, or?
Well, first of all, everyone has a contract. So there are that would technically violate the terms of their contract. But I don't like to start off from a litigious place. So first of all, when I interact with clients, the people that they see are me or my client concierge. So they when they sign up as a custom social media client, for example, in the process, they're very aware that I handpick the writer for them based off of the writer's skill set and their needs for their business. They don't necessarily engage with the writer on a regular basis. So they're not pulling them. And also, if they did and said, oh man, you wrote my social media post really well, come and write my blog post, I have an abundance mentality. I'd be like, go write those blog posts, tell me how it goes. Hope it's great. I hope you get more business. I hope it doesn't violate our contract, but go and do you, because I'm not going to get in the way of anybody's growth and potential. That's just not how I roll. I have a mentality that there is literally enough for everyone and more to go around. So if the people that are working with me decide are like, oh no, I want to go and work with this client full time. Hey, Aleya, I'm out. I'd be like, God bless you. Here's a card in the mail and my kisses as you leave. That's just how I work. Because I've had that mentality, I've never had that problem. I've never had to deal with them saying, oh, let me go leave, because when they have me, they get someone who pays fairly, pays on time, invests in their education and development, coaches them, helps them understand how to invest in themselves and bring those skill sets to their other clients. When I teach them a framework, when you give someone knowledge, you can't do it in a miserly way. You're giving someone knowledge so that they are empowered to be and do better. So if I'm going to teach you a framework, I would hope you don't just use it with me. That's silly. Anytime anybody's ever taught me anything, I've used it and tried to better and up my game and up my skill set. So I've never struggled with that.
I think it's fascinating, just the way that you set up your company. I really appreciate the dynamic of it. I think it's brilliant, honestly. I think a lot of times that's what bogs down somebody trying to start a business is, they start hiring employees, and then it's like, before you know it, they have cash flow problems because it's trying to figure out how to pay somebody. And then you're wondering, do I have enough work for them because I just started my business? So it's kind of really important. Can you talk about your relationship with virtual assistants, like how you found virtual assistants, what you use them for? And
yeah. So I've had several. Some just didn't work out, and some just went on to bigger and better things. But it's a learning process. I learned very quickly that hiring a virtual assistant is not the same as hiring an employee. Especially when you hire your first one, because there needs to be a compatibility match that isn't there if you're the head of marketing hiring a communications manager, right? You don't need, or even if you're the head of marketing hiring, a communications coordinator who ends up being like your de facto assistant. It's a different relationship when you're a business owner hiring a virtual assistant, because they have to think in a similar way than you do. So it's being able, they need to be able to interpret your vision in a way that is operationalizable, not a word, but
works, right?
If you're going to operationalize someone's vision, you need a VA to think like that. And there's in my mind two different types of VAs. There's the VA that you give a list of tasks. I train with videos because there's so much clearer, so I use Loom a lot to train. You give them a Loom video, they do that exact task, you approve, and you pump it out to whatever the task was, right? That's one type of VA, and there's a place for that. And there's the other type of VA, that's the strategic thinker VA, where you give them a goal and you say, I need you to hit this goal. You need both in your business. You need the ones who you can just say, okay, we need this more time-consuming, but easier, repetitious type of work done, and we need it done well, and you have really good attention to detail. This goes back to hiring for skill set. And then I need you to jump on a 30-minute call with me and help me think this through because you're process-oriented. So I've worked with both, and I get them from all over. With everything that's happening in the world, I I make a point, especially now, to hire from a diverse pool. I don't know who I'm going to end up with, but I make sure that the pool is diverse, so that it's not just, I'm not just hiring from a pool of VAs in the Philippines, or just hiring people from Texas or whatever it is. So this time around, when I was hiring a new VA, I actually reached out to a Black VA Facebook group to include them in my pool. So I had maybe like 4 or 5 different sources where I was sourcing candidates from for this client concierge position that had become vacant. And I ended up with I adore, hey Doris, how's it going? She's awesome. She is a Black female immigrant. She grew up in Panama. She's bilingual in Spanish and English. She has her MBA, and she is a stay-at-home mom who works in the hours that I need her to work. It's like, I have an idea, I put it out there, she's working during the night, she executes it, and by the time I get up in the morning, it's done. And she's US based. I was looking for that and more, and she was wonderful, but I was hiring for skill set and hiring for her ability to match and execute a vision, not just, I need a VA,
Right.
Which is different.
So what can somebody expect to pay for a VA?
It goes all over the board, but I will tell you, you get what you pay for. So remember, we were talking about those 2 types of VAs, right? The first type of VA will be that was more kind of administrative. You could tend to find someone that is less expensive. Depending on where you source them from, you could pay like $15-20 an hour, $10-20 an hour. It depends on what you're asking for and what you need. As you go up in skill set, it's like 20 to 50, somewhere in there. And then, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit too woo-woo. Spoiler alert, I'm very woo-woo. So this could be where this comes from. But my goal is, although that they're not employees, is as I grow and as I attract more business, I want to pay them more money. It's one of my goals. So let's say I had someone start at $20 an hour last year, and now if I was like tanking, then I couldn't pay anybody more money. But I actually put in my cash flow plans, how do I increase that to 25, assuming they're doing great, within 6 months? And then how do I increase that to 30? And then what does a role change look like for them? So I still, in my mind, am thinking about career progression, and being able to keep that kind of cycle of that abundance mentality going, even though they're contracted with me. Because I believe in investing in people. It doesn't really matter what tax form you fill out.
Can you talk a little bit about the abundance mentality?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have on this podcast, Nick? Where do we start? So first of all, if anybody listening wants to get a good crash course, there's Deepak Chopra has a book, but it's a little teeny book, but it's also a 90-minute free YouTube video, The 7 Steps for Spiritual Abundance. And in it, it's not necessarily revolutionary, but I've listened to it on repeat to get out of the mentality that there is a necessary conflict that exists when finances are concerned, that there needs to be competition between me and someone else because there's only so much money to go around. Once you reach out of that, and it's almost like when you're in that mentality, you're looking at the world like through this blinders, right? And if I look like this, I can see you, and that's it. I can't see my ring light. I can't see the chair over there. All I see is you. So my whole world is you, Nick. If I look just like this, right? But if I open up my field of vision to a wider set of possibilities, I see the whole room and I see what's possible. When you're thinking with an abundance mentality, you have to keep in mind, okay, do I feel constricted, and do I feel like I'm pulling back on how I'm participating in this situation because I feel like there's not enough to go around and I feel like there's lack? That means that I'm not looking at the situation effectively. If you take a step back and look at the situation effectively, and you release the control that you think that you have, which, spoiler alert, none of us have. None of us have any control over really much of anything. We always just assume that we do because it feels like we do. When you release the fact that you have control and you are able to broaden your perspective, you're able to think, well, I bet money could come from over there. I don't see Nick over there, but I mean, why couldn't money come from over there? As opposed to just looking right here. The more that you do that, the more you start to open up to the possibility of cash flow. There are so many times when I was like, especially now, I work in the wedding, catering, and events industry. We're not doing well, folks. Like, folks aren't getting married. People are, it's illegal for some of the practitioners in my industry to do their jobs. And still here I am, paying my contractors, paying my rent, hanging out, eating like all of us like to do. And it's because I refuse to subscribe to the fact that there was not enough. There is always more than enough.
So let's talk about the actual marketing that you do for your clients. What have you found successful before COVID, and what do you find successful during COVID? Is there things that have switched?
Again, this might be industry bias, but before COVID, there was a lot of, we'll help you get your clients and get more recurring clients, et cetera, et cetera. Now the messaging that I have is like, you don't want to do 2020 again, so let's get systems in place. A lot of the times people you get excited. You say, hey, I plan my sister's wedding. I'm a wedding planner now. This is what I do. I'm gonna get a website. It's probably just going to be like a bunch of images and like a word and like a button. That's usually how people get started. I'm going to go to the Knot, Wedding Wire, Party Slater, I'll put up a profile, boom, I have a business. And I'll have all these referrals because, you know, my sister had like 12 bridesmaids and all of them are getting married soon. So boom, I'm in business. But then after all of them get married, you're like, what am I supposed to do now? Everyone I know in my town is now married. I have been part of their wedding. What do I do? In the past, they could ride on that referral train for quite some time, and people have been very successful doing that. During COVID, when everything dried up and they realized that word of mouth is not an actual marketing strategy, they're like, what do I do? Then they say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to post on social media. That's the ticket. Everybody knows that Instagram gets you money. I'm going to figure out this whole Reels, IGTV live situation and business will be booming. They post, they think they're posting diligently, but they end up posting about 3 times a week. And they have like a photo and like a little quippy caption and like 1 or 2 hashtags. And they think that that will bring them business because they don't understand the way marketing systems work. Social media, if you look at a marketing funnel, is in the middle. It's the nurturing aspect of an audience. You'll get some organic traffic by social media posting. It does help boost the efficacy of your ads, but it's not a huge client attraction strategy. So then they get frustrated, and that's when I get them.
I love it.
I'm like, you are primed and ready for me, my friend, because they have to go through their own paradigm shift of this is not working. Marketing doesn't work. And then I usually come and say, well, actually, you haven't really been marketing. So let's talk about what marketing is and put the frameworks to attract, convert, and close customers inside of your business. Use the messaging that actually nudges people down so that your marketing funnel works and it's not just set up. Just because you have an email sequence, if you're not saying the right things, doesn't mean that it actually is going to work for you. And then let's talk about how we future-proof your business with multiple streams of income. How do you build passive income? How do you leverage your skills if you're ready to get out of this industry and move into a more creative space? What does that look like? And then their strife and their struggle had given them that narrow vision. They could only see you, Nick. I mean, it's a lovely view, but you want them to see the whole world. And the more you start opening them up to what marketing can do and the processes and systems, then they start seeing those other views of potential around them. And that's when I love my job.
And see, that's what I love about this podcast in particular, because you get somebody on, we may have had some communication back and forth, but when you get on, you get somebody and you can tell that they're passionate about what they do. And really, that's the whole thing. I may be in the pizza space and you may be in the wedding space, but what you're talking about with the marketing and the way that you do it, it really could be for any entrepreneur. It could be in any industry. When you're talking about, finding different streams of income inside your business and how to nurture those, like all those things you're talking about could be for anybody listening. Doesn't matter if you're a 20-year-old kid that cuts lawns. Like,
Yep.
this is right. This is exactly, so if you have that kid that is listening to us right now, how would you break down somebody and say, hey, this is where you want to start, and this is how you want to start marketing?
First of all, I want to commend that 20-year-old landscape entrepreneur for even listening to the podcast in the first place. That means that you're in the right mindset, my friend. Second of all, you start off really simply. Marketing intimidates a lot of people because they probably listen to me talk way too much, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, don't start in the middle of the conversation, start at the beginning. And the beginning of the conversation, any good conversation, any good story starts with a problem. Starts with a problem. What problem are you solving? That's the very first question you have to answer.
Love it.
And it's not, if you're a landscape architect in training, it's not, I cut lawns. No, actually, that's not the problem you're solving. The problem that you're solving, should that be you, is I need my lawn to look better than my neighbor's lawn because I'm so tired of Jim out there with his little manicured scissors, and I refuse to be the shame of my block and my family. That's what a lawn is for. Think about it. Your front lawn serves absolutely no purpose. No one hangs out on their front lawn, right?
Right.
The problem that you're solving is about perception, and it's about ego. That's what a lawnmower does. So okay, well, who am I solving it for? Well, you're not solving it for someone that just doesn't care. You're not solving it for the people whose front lawn also happens to have a beat up pickup truck in it that hasn't run in 20 years. That's not your customer, right? So you think of, what problem am I solving? And then the second question you ask yourself is, who am I solving it for? And then you start really kind of getting creepy about it. You're like, how do I know as much as I possibly can about this type of person in my mind? You go to the census data, you stalk your ideal customer avatar in Facebook groups. If you're a lawn cutter, you drive around and you're like, so 301, definitely my ICA. 201, not, right? And then you start to notice things. What is it about them that makes their problem slightly unique? Then the third question you ask yourself is, well, who am I? How do I offer any type of value? I know that there's a problem. I know that my ideal customer, who we're going to name Bob, I know Bob. Bob and I, if I saw Bob at the bar, I'd be like, oh my gosh, there's Bob. I bet his lawn looks amazing, right? You can get it. And you're like, well, but why would Bob talk to me? What about me makes Bob say, you are the person that I need to help shape my neighborhood image? Then you think about, okay, what kind of experience do I have? What type of credibility markers can I bring to the table? That's when you build your messaging around those 3 points. And then you start saying, okay, I know all about Bob. I think Bob probably makes about $100,000 a year. How much would Bob pay for his image? Not how much would Bob pay to have his lawn cut. How much would Bob pay to maintain the neighborhood image of Lawn King? But Bob's busy, because this is part of Bob's ideal customer profile, right? Bob's like, I don't know, let's say Bob's a physician's assistant. I don't know. Bob ain't got time to cut his own lawn, but Bob cares about his lawn. So how can I add value in that area? You start building this entire universe that allows you to answer some of the typical tough questions that people have when they first get started. How much do I charge for my services? Who do I target? What marketing channels do I use? Well, where does Bob hang out? Use those marketing channels. If Bob is in his 40s, he's not on TikTok, so don't bother. Bob is on LinkedIn, so use LinkedIn marketing, right? So those are the types of things that when you're getting started, that you ask yourself, you spend really good time answering and kind of let the solution open up for you. The more you answer it, the more you're like, wait a minute, Bob doesn't like this. Why would I use a big bright yellow logo that's super aggressive? That's not Bob. That informs your design decisions and your color theory behind your branding. It informs it all when you're able to answer those 3 questions.
So how important would it be then when you're trying to go for Bob, the guy who wants the fancy lawn, wants to be the lawn king, when you're picking equipment and you're like, well, I could pick this this mower that can mow a lawn in 10 or 15 minutes and just blow by and, you know, blows everything everywhere, but can cut super quick. Or would it make more sense to maybe buy the mower that leaves the nice tread marks and leaves the nice lawn marks and, you know, yeah, okay, it'll take me a little bit longer, but is that not important too? Make sure you pick the right equipment to satisfy the right job, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, it flows into everything. What does Bob care about? Bob's not home when you're mowing his lawn. Bob's busy. Bob doesn't care if it takes you 20 minutes or 2 hours. Bob's paying you a flat rate anyways. But and so selling Bob on, I mow your lawn in 20 minutes. He's like, great. But if it looks like crap, that's not going to help me be the lawn king. So on your website, you would say, I use this special mower that does
right.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because then you can market that, right?
You know, when like you have your housekeeper come to your house, because Bob obviously has a housekeeper, right? We've already thought this about Bob, and they vacuum your carpet and you're almost afraid to step on it because the lines are so perfect. Wouldn't it be nice if your carpet outside your lawn could look the same way? I have equipment that will help you do that. I take meticulous care. I edge everything. And by the way, if your flowers are a little down, I make sure to water and I bring fertilizer that I've mixed myself to make sure that your lawn is the best it can be. Use credibility markers that are important to Bob. Otherwise, why are you in business? You're not thinking about the problem that you solve and who you solve it for.
And those 3 questions that you said that you would ask, you can use those in any industry, right? I think you just proved
Not
it,
just lawn care.
Yes, no, absolutely not. Like, I think that was a perfect example. It just breaks down how simple the marketing can be. But if you don't know where to start with anything, nothing's simple.
No,
you know,
it's very intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
There's so many books and podcasts and videos and gurus out there, right?
Yep.
And every guru, go listen to the gurus, go sit, and then make up your own mind. Use what works, ditch what doesn't.
You know, one thing that I used to think was kind of like just, I guess for lack of better terms, bullcrap, was avatars. I really did, you know. But then I did one, and I actually did. But then I actually did 2, to be honest. I did because I have full service restaurants. They have full service bars in them. 24 taps, all the different liquors. So we have 2 different customers. We have, you know, Joe, who sits at the bar after work and wants to drink, you know, high-end beer and maybe get a scotch after he's had a couple beers and stuff like that. And then we have, you know, Sally and Sam, who bring in their 4 kids and they're eating, you know, their meal and they're a family. And then, you know, we have a delivery side of the business. So we have, you know, Hungry Harry, we call him, who's at home and he wants to pick up the phone. He wants his pizza in 30 minutes. He might want some wings on game day. And so we have, you know, a few different types of customers that we work. And it was going to a workshop where they were heavy on avatars. And I was like, all right, I paid all this money for the workshop.
I should at least try.
You got to, right? Because that's the whole thing. I think we've all gone to seminars and workshops. You go there, you spend all this money, you're pumped up. And if I've learned anything, you have to come back and use what they taught you. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do these avatars. And I did them with my whole team. We broke, you know, they seem like a real silly exercise because we have like 25 managers. We broke everybody down to their stores, which would be like 5 in each store. I gave them each the avatar. And I was like, all right, let's work on filling out who the customer is for your store. And, you know, we spent 3 hours on it. It wasn't like a 30-minute exercise. It was, you know, we worked on one for an hour, worked on another one, and then we had all these different customers. And to them, it gave them a clear concept of who they're serving, which is important. You know, they're maybe not marketing to them, but now they know who they're serving, which is important because they have different needs. Hungry
Right.
Harry has a need that he wants his pizza and wings in 30 minutes on game day. The family has a different need. They want their pizza as quick as possible from the oven because their kids are going crazy and running around the restaurant. And the guy drinking the beer, he wants to have a conversation with the bartender. He wants to be able to come in and tell his daily problems and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the avatars are so important. And I think for somebody young listening or somebody who's never used them, there's great examples out on the internet to grab an avatar and how to use them. But I think, it's so important. I haven't really had anybody on the show yet that talked about the avatars. And I think, it's so important. So what's your thoughts? You can take what I've said kind of and run a little farther with it.
Yeah, no, what I was thinking is I was super glad that you were bringing up that you are an established business and you're still using them.
Oh, yes.
Often people are like, oh, well, that's just what you do when you start. It's like, no. My avatar, one of them, is named Ashley Smith. She's a wedding planner. She has a mature dog named Sunny. She's married to a firefighter. She makes $100,000 a year. She's trying to make more. I can tell you all things about Ashley.
Yeah.
Right? I use Ashley every single time I sit down and market anything. Every single time. It's because if you don't, your messaging starts falling flat. I also like what you said about using it to operationalize your business. Apparently that's my word for the day. I promise I don't use operationalize normally. But you're using it to say, hey, server, or hey, manager, probably bar manager, when you're staffing the bar, we know that thirsty I can't think of anything that rhymes with thirsty. The name, thirsty Thom likes to talk to the bartender. So don't just, have one bartender that's running around trying to fill up drinks, because that's not what thirsty Thom values. You need to at least staff two, because he's gonna want to talk to someone. And if you don't, he's still gonna talk to you and you're gonna slow down, you're gonna get unhappy customers on the other side of the bar.
Yes.
So knowing that helps with client retention, probably helps increase average check size, because people feel like you get them. You can also run guarantees. If you truly get that, you said Hungry Harry, right?
Yep.
Wants his pizza in 30 minutes or less, you're like, I guarantee I can give you your pizza in 30 minutes or less, or your money back. Now, if you know that you can accomplish that, that guarantee doesn't cost you any money, but it increases confidence in your business, right? It mitigates risk. People don't like to buy things that they feel like is going to cost them later on down the road, right? So you're talking about you signed up for that seminar about ideal customer avatars, and you're like, well, I guess I should do the work. I'm here, but man, did I really spend my money on this? If that seminar, I don't know who put on the seminar, but if that seminar had said, come to the seminar, do the work, 2 weeks after, you get your money back if it doesn't work, you probably would still be, you would say, I'm going to do the work, be like, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to prove that I'm wrong, I'm going to do this work till it's worked out, and I'm going to show and get my money back in 2 weeks. And if they had good products, you would never have gotten your money back, because look at you, you got Hungry Harry now, because it worked for you, but you were able to mitigate risk. So in the way your brain works, you have Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like a triangle. At the bottom, it's about safety and security. And as you move closer to the pinnacle, you then are able to have the brain power. Once my safety and security are taken care of, once my family relationships are taken care of, I'm able to eat, food, clothing, shelter, then I can self-actualize. I can start thinking about other ways of being. I can let my creative juices flow. I can start feeling more comfortable and confident with how I interact with the world, or how I interact with your business. You want people to be able to get to that place, because those are repeat customers. The people that are able to not feel burdened by some of the more basic things, like, oh man, this person's going to take my money away. Oh, I can't worry about if the pizza's any good, because I'm like, dang, is this pizza's, I can't even enjoy the pizza. It's going to be cold. Is it going to get here on time? The game starts. They're not thinking about, wow, this person made everything so easy. This pizza is going to be great. It certainly is delicious, isn't it? Because they're still worried about all the other stuff on the bottom. When you're able to mitigate risk, and you're using your ideal customer avatar to understand what exactly that risk is, you're able to create a better customer experience. Someone who's able to think more positively about you, and you're the source of that freedom for them, because you said, don't even worry about this. Got you. Don't even worry about If it's not there on time, you don't waste any money. The pizza's still there, you got a microwave. Don't say that part. But when you are able to say we got you, then you're able to take your customer relationships to whole different levels. And that really is the goal of a business owner, to make people feel so well taken care of, they can't imagine life without you.
And that's one of the first things we did as a business is I put a guarantee on every single menu. Says, if it's not the best pizza you've ever eaten, I'll give you every penny back. Mm-hmm. And it's on every single menu, magnet, everything that we print. And it's funny when you hear employees like, oh my God, we're gonna have to give all this money back. You know, like, I don't know, in 8 years, we maybe have 2 people ask for their money back.
Right.
I mean,
that's
because
the mentality though. That's not the abundance mentality.
No, it's not. And I think that's where most people, when they read that though, it takes away the risk, because they see it on the front cover of the menu and it's like, wow, this guy's saying like, if it's not the best pizza I've ever eaten, he'll give me my money back. Okay, let's give it a try. And that's where I think guarantees are so important. We have another one when we are doing big catering orders, you know, and I guess, you know, with your catering experience, you probably appreciate this. We say, if you call within 24 hours and it's not on time, it's free.
Yeah.
You know, so it, you know, we're talking, you know,
large dollar amounts.
Yeah. And we have had, you know, those ones, we've had people call us, hey, you know, it was 35 minutes late and you said it was going to be free. Yeah, it's free. You know, and then we went one farther. We said your order's free and your next one's free.
Yeah.
Because and they'll say, well, we really don't need the next one free. And we're like, look, we want to give you the next one free too, because we want to prove that this was a fluke. We'll be on time next time. And after that, hopefully you'll go ahead and trust us for your event. Because when you screw up somebody's catering event, it's a lot different than screwing up somebody, you know, trying to eat during halftime.
Right.
You know, like
your pressure is very different.
Yes, I would imagine a wedding would be even 10 times stronger than screwing up a business meeting. But, you know, you screw up a business meeting, it's pretty bad too, you know?
Yes. All of it is bad because you're messing with people's expectations and trust.
Yes.
I talk now, like people are like, well, what is, you know, when we're working on our marketing messages now, like you kind of back a little bit to what you asked me before, is what's different pre and post COVID? When you're working on your marketing messages now, no matter who your ICA is, they are a functioning fearaholic. Everyone has this low level of fear with everything that's happening in the world. It's like, what's happening next? I'm waiting for the 2020 grand finale. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not going to be good.
Murder hornets. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I'm like, what is it? Godzilla himself? Like, what is it going to be that comes out of this? That's how kind of people are functioning within this year. And you need to realize that and realize what makes that better and what makes that worse. What makes that better is to double down on proactive trust signals. A trust signal is something that shows someone before, you know, a part of it is having a guarantee, because that's a confidence that you're saying I stand behind my word, but you also show dedication. You show consistency in your messaging, consistency in how often you post on social media, consistency in your email marketing, consistency in your branding. People are like, you're a sure thing. You seem like you're going to be around tomorrow. So I'm going to actually like trust you, hang out with you a little bit more. You also are transparent about your processes. You're transparent about the things that you say. You're honest, you're open, and you use your credibility to your advantage. You use all those awards that you thought were about you winning have nothing to do with you right about now. The award is you saying to someone, look, I've been vouched for, so I'm safe. It's okay to work with me. I won, like, give me an award. You've got to won a pizza award before.
We're 3-time world pizza champions and best pizza in Italy 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, little things.
Yeah, right. No,
little things like that.
Yeah, we've got a nice trophy case. But you're right, you know, and I'll let you finish your point for sure. You're absolutely right that, you know, when we came back and were able to say that we won these awards, it was like we could market the heck out of it. And that's what I loved. You know, I think if anything, sure, I'm a pizza guy, but I am definitely a marketer. I've always been a marketer. And I think that's why I wanted to enter the contest, because if we enter the contest and we win, we can go ahead and really shove these down people's throats for better lack of terms. But we even have done things where we finished the first one we did, we finished third in the city. How do you market third in the city? And what I did was,
You are a finalist.
the two that beat us were around for 60 years. We were within 1 year, we just started the business. So I said, it was the news that ran the contest. So I said, the news has named us the best new pizza in the city. And people love that. Everybody wants to, well, who is this place?
And now they're like, oh, there's someone new. We've been eating the same
Yeah.
pizza for 60 years. Who's the newcomer? I want some new pizza. See,
Right.
and that's what you do, because people are like, okay, well, somebody else has said that they're pretty good, so maybe I should give them a try. They're a sure bet. They're sure thing that it's most likely that I won't have to be triggered by working with them.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the awards, it's worth your time to maybe, if you see one in your local newspaper or whatever it is, figuring out how to get people to enter it. Ask your customers, hey, you're already probably asking for referrals. Why not ask, hey, you like your lawn today? Yeah, it looks great. Would you mind saying I'm the best landscaper in the whatever township it is? Can you enter this contest for me, or can you fill out the pool? Like,
testimonials are great, especially on like really public forums. So one of the best places to ask for testimonials is Google My Business. So if you're a landscaper or business owner, you're probably like Yelp. Yelp is great. So keep doing it. Keep Yelping it up. Google My Business, if people are searching for you on Google, if you have a Google My Business profile, it pops up on the right-hand side, and you can see the ratings and you can see the reviews right there when someone pops up and sees your business. And the better ranked you are, the higher visibility. So not only are you helping people get to know you and you're saying I'm really great, but you're also helping your search engine optimization for your website too.
So can we talk a little bit about SEO? You sound like you know
a little bit. I am not like Neil Patel SEO guru, but I do know my fair share.
Okay, give us the 101.
Okay, so SEO is search engine optimization, and what it means is basically how well people can find you on the internet. And it's not just any people. The people that you want to target, like we've talked about already, is your ideal customer. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So your job is that when people type in words onto the Google search bar, that your website pops up. When it's optimized, that means that it pops up high in the results, the first couple of results, at least on the first page. When was the last time you actually looked on the second page of your Google search results? Like never, right? If it's not on the first page, it really is not a thing. So your goal is to get it on the first page. There's a couple of ways to do that. First, you start off on your own website with the words that you write on your website. And you think about the words that they type in Google, the keywords that they type in Google, and not just like pizza, but it would be, the best pizza in town, something like that, or the best pizza near me. It's a long tail keyword. That phrase is still considered a keyword. I know, it's a horrible title. Then you say it's like the best pizza in town. Take those words that people would search for and put them on your website organically. Don't stuff them at the bottom, but put them in the way just that the words work on your website. So then when people pop it up, and usually it's actually like the best pizza in Milwaukee or the best pizza in Chicago, which would really be like, ooh, best pizza in Chicago. But then you're like, then they're really starting to target you. And when people type in those words, then you have a higher likelihood of coming up. But patience, young Skywalker, it's a process. So you have all those words and you've built it and you're like, where's all my website traffic? It also relies on several other factors. One meaning, if people are linking to your site, that crosses into an area called domain authority. So you can be a site, like you could be, I don't know, I can't think of a no-name site, but let's say you're noname.com, which is probably a big name site. But let's say that it really is like no site, noname.com. No one has linked from their site to your site. So you don't seem connected. It doesn't seem like people go to you for information. You're not a resource to them. So your domain authority will be low. However, if you are like Wikipedia, Your domain authority is super high. People are always referencing you. People are visiting you. They're spending a lot of time reading the content. And so your domain authority is high. That's one of the reasons why when you type for some obscure reference, Wikipedia is one of the first things that pops up because that's what people use it for. So you're like, okay, I'm a landscaper. I'm a piece of business. I sell candles. I am not Wikipedia. What does that do for me? How to kind of mimic that is by doing guest blog writing. So getting people to say, hey, can you write on my blog? Yeah, sure, I'll write on my blog. Can you just include a link back to my site? What that does is that builds up a network of backlinks. So people are linked to your site on their site. That's good. Another way to go about it is to say, okay, I have this backlink that goes to my site. But when people get there, the only content that they would find would be the information about my company, which is not what they're going to be searching for necessarily. They might be searching for the best pizza in town, but they might also be searching for what is pizza crust made out of? So you want to grab those people as well. And that's why people say to develop a blog or weekly content, because a blog helps you answer some of those other questions and then drive traffic to your website. I think that those are all of the SEO key points. There's so much.
Yeah, no, I think it was excellent. Yeah, it was definitely a good start. I guess just a follow-up question to that would be, for anybody, how important do you think it is for them to absolutely have a website? Because I think it would be easy for people to say, well, I have a Facebook, I don't need a website.
I think a website, so I'm a very independent person and I like being in control of my own stuff. So if Mark Zuckerberg decides that for some existential reason, Facebook is now evil and he's shutting it down, I mean, it's a publicly traded company, but in theory, he could do that. And there goes your entire web presence. Or if the algorithms change, which happen all the time and is a much more likely story, your content might not be shown to your audience in the same way. That actually is what's happening right now with Facebook pages. So if you have a Facebook page and you've been posting on your Facebook page and you're like, one person liked that post, and then you post that same content on your Instagram profile and they get 50, there's a reason for that. It's an algorithm change. There's less visibility because Facebook is trying to push you into groups and interacting in a more community setting. You didn't decide that. Facebook didn't ask you your opinion about that. You don't own those platforms. Your website, on the other hand, is something that you have control over, more control over, because then there is still the Google algorithm and the search algorithms that affect your visibility. But you decide when your website is up, you decide what your website says, you decide how you drive traffic to your website. There's much more control, and you also can sell more effectively from a website. So people put up websites because they're like, I'm a business, I should have a website. And people don't often ask themselves why. Well, besides the fact that it's a platform that you own, your website's job is to sell. Your website should make you money. It's not just your like home base. It's designed to be a communication tool that lets people understand why they should work with you and deals with any objections they might have had before they got to your site. So you cannot do that as effectively on an Instagram feed. You cannot tailor your message in the same way and your story in the same way with the way that your feed is laid out, nor do you get to control what part of your feed people see, how if they're going to your profile, they just saw one random post because they clicked on a hashtag. So it's about being able to take your financial destiny out of somebody else's hands and putting it into your own by building a highly converting website that tells the story about your business that you want to tell in the way that you want to tell it.
For the same reasons, that's why it's very important to have an email database as well, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I have a whole course on email marketing, so it's kind of my jam. But, and I also like have social media products. I'm not saying social media is bad, but email, somebody asked me, what's the first marketing thing that I should do besides those 3 questions? I'm like, you need to build an email list. They're like, oh, email. No one reads email. First of all, that's not true. I don't know. You might not read your email, but most people do read email. Having and building and nurturing an effective email list is like having a tool that helps you generate revenue on demand. I mentioned earlier that I'm launching a social media membership. Yeah, I'm gonna run some ads. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Facebook groups. Yeah. I'm basing my sales projections on the email list I have right now and using conversion rates to understand how much revenue I'm gonna make. I have, this many number on Facebook, this many number on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. None of that really is factoring in. If they buy from that, that's a bonus. If they're on my email list, that's my audience. I can control when I send the messages to them. I can control what messages they receive. I can see how they've interacted with the emails that I've sent, what they've opened, what they've clicked on, and what matters to them. Fine tune that to the point where I am now, where I'm like, when I send this message out, I don't know, I get a 3% conversion rate. It's revenue on demand. I haven't had to do that. I mean, come on. I'm mostly working in the wedding industry, so there have been some lean months as of recently, as of late. So I'm just like, oh crap, I need to make $3,000. I'm gonna run a promo. Let's send an email. Got that 3,000 because of my email list. And I have pretty proud of my email list, but it's not like 20,000 people on this list, right? It's a nurtured list of my ideal customer. That's what you need.
And how often do you send something?
I try to send something once a week. When there's a promo time, I probably send something like maybe twice a week. I don't want to over email lists because then they get list fatigue. But when you do send, you want to at least send something once a week and want to try to send it at the same day and time every single week. That goes back to what we were talking about before about consistency.
Yes.
And trust. Right? So, Aleya is going to pop in my inbox every Wednesday. Yep, Aleya sure is. Every single Wednesday.
So can you tell our listeners where they can find you if they would like more of you?
Absolutely. And I always come get more of me. You can visit my website, www.flourishmarketing.co, not .com, .co. You can also follow me on Instagram at Aleya Harris, Aleya Harris, Harris, at flourishmarketing.co, or at the Social Media Pantry, which is our social media services all kind of separated out there for you.
And I'd imagine you can do social media it doesn't matter where anybody is in the world, right? You can do social media for everybody.
I have
marketing
social media for everybody. Yeah, clients all over who we do social media for. It's not location based. I'm based in the Los Angeles area in California, but I have clients all over the country.
Wonderful. So now's the time we try to solve the equation to your success. This is where I get to ask you 7 rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, wonderful. Best seminar or teaching you've ever been to?
Okay, this is going to be kind of biased, but it was the Story Brand Certification seminar because it changed the way I do business.
Favorite item you bought recently under $100?
My bonsai tree. I put it on my desk.
Name an idol or hero of yours that you've met in person.
Stevie Wonder.
Favorite book to give as a gift?
Story Brand. Everybody gets Story Brand from me.
Something you do every morning before you brush your teeth?
I sit and I meditate.
Your personal mantra or favorite quote?
Oh my gosh. Only one. This is for I think that probably what I would say is this is for the highest good. I asked this for the highest good.
Place you go to decompress and reset?
The shower? It's quarantine. That's been my jam.
Wonderful. Aleya, thank you so much for being on today. I loved our conversation. I think our listeners are going to gain a lot out of it. There was a ton of nuggets in there. I hope they're listening and taking some notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, Nick.